a little windy. But I'm at 5,800 miles for the year.
Coast to coast twice.
Yeah, that'd even get me to York, Pennsylvania and back.
This would. You gotta stop and pick up pop cans, then you can pay for your trip down south.
Yeah, I hate to compete with those guys who do it for a living.
I don't think they go out in the country looking for them, though.
Regular meeting of the Clear Lake City Council of Monday, December 21, 2020 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. New motion to approve the agenda, please.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Mark, that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. To the consent agenda, you have a copy of the minutes of December 7th, 2020. We need a designation of the Clear Lake Mirror Reporter as the official newspaper of the City of Clear Lake for legal publication and notices. We need to set a date for the council strategic planning session, and that shall be December 23rd, 2020 at 8:15 a.m. We need approval of the bills and claims, of which you have a copy, and we have the following license: an excavator license, Country Landscapes, Clear Lake. That's renewal. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Bennett, that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now is the time and place for any citizen in the audience who wishes to address the council on any issue or concern that is not on the agenda. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so the clerk can properly enter in the minutes. This is not a discussion time nor a question and answer time, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. None appearing, we'll go on to unfinished business, of which there is none. We'll jump right to number 6, new business. A request to rezone 408 Mars Hill Drive to RS8, medium density, single family residential. Review, Mr. Flory. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. We'll go through these items here in the packet with you here and start out with the gray sheet as a resolution to refer a rezoning proposal to the Planning and Zoning Commission, establishing the date for a public hearing and authorizing the clerk to publish notice on this rezoning proposal. Of course, it pertains to 408 Mars Hill Drive, the former Sunset School property. Lots involved are lots 1 through 10, Sunset View Edition. Also included are lots 35 and 36, Frost Edition. Lots 45, 44, 45, 46, Sunset View Edition. And the undeveloped street alley running east and west between lots 5 and 6 and 44, 45, 46, Sunset View Edition. Again, establishing the public hearing date on the proposal for February 1st, 2021, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers, and also the notice of publication be published in the Mirror Reporter on January 20th. On the back side of that is the copy of the public notice that'll be published in the newspaper. Again, just indicating all the things I just mentioned about the date for the public hearing being February 1st, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers, and also that the notice will be mailed via regular mail to adjacent property owners, and that'll take place on January 22nd. Next page is chapter 165.49 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clear Lake, and just included that just as reference for you. It indicates that any proposed amendments, changes, modifications first must be submitted by the council to the Planning and Zoning Commission for its recommendations and report, which is what we're here for this evening, to refer the matter to Planning and Zoning for recommendation and report. And also, a little bit further down, indicates council, before enacting any proposed amendment, supplement, or change, shall hold a public hearing. So in the resolution, we've established February 1st as the date for the public hearing on this proposal. A little bit further down, council may set such public hearing either before or after it submits the proposed amendment, so we're setting that date for the public hearing this evening, so just prior to the Planning and Zoning Commission receiving it. And then also, as I mentioned at the end of that public notice, there's a reference there to mail a copy of the public notice to the adjacent property owners. So indicates that a copy of the notice will be sent by ordinary mail to all owners of property adjoining or adjacent to the property that's proposed to have the change in zoning, and prescribes the minimum as 7 days, but not more than 20 days before the public hearing. So as I mentioned, we're going to do that on January 22nd with the public hearing set for February 1st. Next page is the copy of the proposed zoning district that the owners have requested the change in zoning for. So the proposed change is to RS8, which is medium density single family residential. And you can see on that next page there, 165.11, this district's primarily intended as a zone to provide for the development of small lots, single-family dwellings. Permitted uses include detached single-family dwellings. Also listed are conditional uses, and that under letter D, 3D prescribes schools as generalized private instruction schools. So that would, the Clear Lake Classical School would fit into that category, and that would, and of course, anything for a conditional use requires an application to the City Board of Adjustment, and then they hold their public hearing on that, and then they're the final arbiter of those decisions. Then the next page after that is a copy that Jason prepared for us for the packet. Just identifies the proposed area to be rezoned to RS8, and you see it's the former Sunset school property that I outlined the legal description of in the public notice. And you'll notice that all the properties to the west are zoned currently as RS8, which is the medium density single family residential category, and then all the other adjoining properties to the east and immediately contiguous there to the south are all zoned RM12, which is the medium density multifamily zoning district. So again, the developers have requested the RS8 category, and guess I don't have anything further in terms of any more background on that item, unless anyone has any questions. I'd be happy to take those.
Council, any questions for Scott?
So our action tonight is simply moving this on to the P&Z.
Yep.
And at what time will they meet?
They generally meet the last Tuesday of the month. They don't have that date established yet, but generally it's the last Tuesday of the month, so sometime January 25th, 6th, somewhere in there.
So any action they would take is going to be far in advance of this public hearing we're scheduling.
Our public hearing will be the February 1st.
Yeah, so I mean, there's enough time that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
whatever. And my understanding is that this is not going to affect the concept of renting the school building to the Christian school.
Yeah, the RS8 category provides a private school as a conditional use, so the classical school will have to apply to the Board of Adjustment following the rezoning for approval to do that.
Okay.
None of the zoning districts allow as an outright use the private school.
Yeah. So they can move forward with what they are planning on doing one way or the other here.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just clarifying that. Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Therefore, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2071, a resolution to refer a rezoning proposal with regard to the former Sunset School property to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Dana, that we approve Resolution 2071. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dana? Bennett?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2071 is duly adopted. 6B, City Beach Enhancement Project Review, Mr. Flory.
Thanks again, Mayor. The blue sheet in your packet addresses this item. Blue sheet is a resolution accepting the work for the City Beach Enhancement Project. Of course, the contract was with Peterson Construction of Webster City. The final value of work completed on the project was $1,120,111.60. And the sheets that follow that are a copy of the certificate of completion that was filed by the project consultant. This project was administered by RDG Consulting of Des Moines, and Jason Bloom was the planner, designer on that project. And the next sheet, the green sheet, is the final pay estimate. So this is again a final pay estimate, so we'll hold this. It represents the amount of the retainage. So that pay estimate is in the amount of $56,005.58. And I would note that the original contract sum was $1,087,000 on this. We had net change by change orders of $33,111.60. And just to give you a refresher on what some of those change orders were, I went back, kind of summarized those. We had 3 change orders on the project. Change order number 1 was in the amount of $23,446.55, and that was to relocate the aerator power supply, provide sump pump mounting changes, new sand trap, and excavation of removal of unknown contaminated type items that were discovered during the excavation. Change order number 2, $4,645.05, and that was for a variety of miscellaneous items, mostly placing recessed luminaries within the center of the tongue and grooved decking and the ceiling of the bathhouse. And then change order number 3, $5,020, added a storm line at the water treatment plant to accommodate some roof drainage, and then reinstalled 2 bollards that originally we weren't planning on reinstalling. So total, the change orders are about 3%, a little less than 3% of the whole value of the project, so pretty good. You know, when you have almost a $1.2 million project and about 33,000 in change orders, so, especially when you're dealing with underground stuff. So I don't have anything further unless anyone has any questions about the pay estimate or the certificate of completion.
This amount includes the retainage?
Yeah, that is the retainage.
That is, okay.
Just one quick comment. I think the project turned out really well. I think it was a tremendous upgrade to a very important piece of our Clear Lake persona and our ability to attract tourists and serve our own citizens. So, you know, sometimes you put things on paper and you're not too sure how it's going to all turn out, but I think we got a hit here. So
Yeah, I'd give a lot of credit to you and Mark and Nelson. Were involved from the very beginning to the very end of that project, and turned out, I think, really well, and anxious to see how it performs in a non-pandemic year when we can put it to its fullest and best use. So, but I think it was very well received by the community.
Any other comments? Thank you, Scott. As you know, council, here there are 2 identical motions here. The second is by error. So we'll take just one motion. Motion to approve pay estimate number 7 to Peterson Construction with regard to the City Beach Enhancement Project, Peterson Construction of Webster City, in the amount of $56,005.58.
So moved.
second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Mike, that we approve pay estimate number 7 to Peterson Construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now we need a motion to approve Resolution 2072, which is a resolution accepting the work on the City Beach Enhancement Project. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary, that we approve Resolution 2072. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mike?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
and Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and Resolution 2072 is duly adopted. Main Avenue Street Reconstruction Project, project update, review of pay estimate number 5. Mr. Petersburg, B&K. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Work on the Main Avenue Street reconstruction is wrapped up for this year, this construction season. As most of you are likely aware, they made a lot of progress this year on that project and are ahead of schedule at this time. They started in early July, and they were able to complete all of the sanitary sewer, water main, storm sewer excavation, roadway paving, and driveway work, and also get the street lighting installed, and they got that operational last week. The only work remaining to be completed in the spring is sidewalks and sodding. The completion date for the project is mid-June, so barring a very abnormal spring, we expect the contractors to easily meet the completion date on this project. Pay estimate 5 in your packets is the last anticipated pay estimate for this year. Pay estimate includes the work completed in November and early December. Net amount due to Wix Construction for pay estimate 5 is $447,836.91. This takes the project to 83% complete. I'll note I did go through and put together an estimated final pay estimate on that, including all the sidewalk and sodding work. And by them being ahead of schedule and not having to install so much of the asphalt, there's going to be about a little over $100,000 under the original contract amount on that. Any questions?
Council, any questions for Jason?
How much additional underground work from 14th toward 12th got done this year?
Between 13th and 14th, the sanitary sewer main was installed. And down at 12th Street, there was a couple of storm sewer intakes and some storm sewer piping that was installed as part of the project. And that storm sewer was added by change order. The sanitary was part of the original design.
So next year, extending, there'll be a little head start on that, but
Yeah, there'll be less utility work in the last phase here.
yeah, okay, thanks.
If you haven't driven down Main from 14th to 20th, you need to do that, and do it at night. Those lights really, I think, make a difference in it. Wonderful, wonderful work, I do believe. Thanks, Jason. I therefore entertain a motion to approve pay estimate number 5 with regard to the Main Avenue Street reconstruction project to Wix Construction, Decorah, Iowa, in the amount of $447,836.91.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mark, that we approve pay estimate number 5. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. 6D, 2014 taxable general obligation economic development bonds refunding. That's McKesson. Mr. Flory.
Thank you, Mayor. The purple sheet in your packet is a resolution that fixes a date for a public hearing on a taxable GO refunding loan agreement and a principal amount not to exceed $715,000. This is probably a interesting one for Mike and Nelson and Gary and Sugar on this. You guys were all on when we brought McKesson into the community. Back in March of 2014, we issued $1,620,000 in general obligation economic development bonds for the McKesson development project to facilitate their relocation here to Clear Lake. And so here we are at this moment in time refinancing those bonds that we issued there. So amazing how that time has gone by so quickly. We had in those 2014 bonds a call provision, and they became callable June 1st, 2019, or any date thereafter. So we're electing to call those bonds, and that's of course based on some of the preliminary feedback that we've gotten from our local community banks on the taxable 2021 general obligation bond Series A that we're issuing for the hotel project, as well as the Series 2021B GO bonds for the acquisition of the real estate. So we've decided that we would call those and then refund this bond issue. So this would include our principal payments from June of 2021 through June of 2024. Basically, there are $700,000 in principals outstanding. So with issuance costs, legal fees, et cetera, we're going to refund this at $715,000. So roughly about 43% of the original principal par amount of the bonds that were issued back in March of 2014. The estimated savings to the city after we take into consideration the issuance cost is roughly $19,000. So about a little less than 3% of what the refunded par amount is. So that's right there within sort of that sweet spot of when it's desirable to refund the bonds. So generally they look at 3% to 5% as the optimum rate. So we're at the lower end of that parameter, but still makes sense for us to do it at this time. The 2014 bonds that we're refunding here for the McKesson project are the only what we call bond market obligations we have. They're currently outstanding. All the others are local placements with community banks here. So the refunding would be a separate issue. I mentioned again we had the 2021A for the Marriott Hotel project, the 2021B for the land acquisition project, and this would be titled the refunding 2021C. So the timeline for this evening, December 21st, Council would set January 4th as the date for the public hearing on the refunding. That would be in an amount not to exceed $715,000. December 23rd, I don't know why I had 2010 there, but December 23rd, we would publish notice of that hearing in the Mirror Reporter. January 4th, we would hold the public hearing on the refunding. January 12th, the bank proposals quotes for the 2021C refunding would be due back. And then at the meeting on January 18, the council would consider the award to the lowest bidder, authorize the redemption of the 2014 bonds, and then issue the Series 2021C refunding bonds. And then we anticipate closing probably on or before February 25th, and receiving the funds by that date. So I don't have anything further on that. I think now's a good time to be doing the refunding. I'll talk a little bit more under my report. We had our date for the opening today on the quotes for the 2021A and 2021B series issues, and those both were really favorable again. So I think again the market conditions are really good for doing this, even though the savings aren't astronomical. Just makes sense, I think, to take advantage of it and do it.
I think it's important also to mention that, and this got some publicity too, but that McKesson Corporation, International Corporation, have been designated as one of the prime distributors of the COVID-19 vaccine in the United States, and got some really good publicity out of the Olive Branch, Mississippi, which I think is one of the main distribution centers. Clear Lake also has a DC, or distribution center, and they will be distributing, what is it, Scott, 7 states?
Yep, so you're right, the Olive Branch is like the main distribution center. I think there's 2, and that's the biggest one, and then kind of veins out to the 16 distribution centers, of which Clear Lake is one.
Yeah, yeah. How fortunate we are to have that.
Always remember our trip to Chicago, and as they called it, the big board, looking up at the big board, and there was Oklahoma City, Newark, Southern California, and little Clear Lake, Iowa on that list. So we're pretty impressive. Now, on the 2021A economic development taxable note for Marriott, so like we're calling this issue, we'll have a call provision built into these 21A and 21B series notes that we issue. I don't think we'll ever be calling those, is what I'm going to speculate based on the interest. Even the interest rate on these is pretty good. You're in the 2.5 category. So at the time, we thought that was a terrific rate, and it was. But now we're in some epic moments here for borrowing, and so we'll be well below that.
Definitely.
that might do it.
What will be the maturity date of the new issuance, or is?
2024.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not extending it out
Yeah,
any
just
longer. Yep.
the additional
Yep.
5 years under a better rate, we
Yep.
hope.
Yep, so basically, the maturities remain the same. We've got 2021, 2022, 23, and 24. And so we're just going to borrow the $700,000, pay that off, and we'll have a 4-year note. So,
Thank you.
I should mention, Ashley asked me about the difference between these bonds. So we have the taxable issue. So the McKesson issue was a taxable issue, and that's when we say taxable bond, it's because the interest income generated there is not deductible under the IRS regulations from your federal income tax. So that note, because the ultimate use of it was for a private purpose, meaning a business, essentially, those bonds were not bank qualified, tax exempt. Likewise, the Marriott bonds will be the same way. So we talk about taxable and non-taxable. The bonds that we're issuing for the acquisition of property are tax exempt. So that's why there'll be a little bit different rate because they can deduct more of that interest income from their taxes. So and when I talk about under my report, I'll identify kind of the difference between two issues. One, we solicited from the local banks at $1.2 billion taxable, the other at $600,000 non-taxable. So,
Any other comments, questions, council? Thank you, Scott. Therefore, will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2073, a resolution to fix a date for a public hearing, and that shall be January 4th of 2021 at 6 p.m. right here in the council chambers on a taxable general obligation refunding loan agreement in a principal amount not to exceed $715,000. Motion.
So offered. Second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Bennett, that we approve Resolution 2073. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Dana?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2073 is duly adopted. 6E, authorization to issue requests for proposals for new sewer jet vac truck. Intro, Mr. Floor.
thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll give some introductory remarks, and Jeremy, Public Works Director, and Rod Higg, the Fleet Manager, are going to go over the request for proposals that's included in the packet. Here at the end, I thought they did a really nice job putting that together, and it's just some background information on it. You might wonder, kind of where did this one come from? We had budgeted for replacing the motor grader, so that was kind of our intended goal for fiscal year 21 is sort of the major capital purchase item for the Public Works Department. And lo and behold, the sewer jet vac machine has been becoming more and more complicated for us this past year, and faced a lot of downtime, and that is probably the most critical piece of equipment that we have in our fleet, and so we cannot really have downtime with that. That's one of those that we utilize for sanitary sewer main purposes. In particular, when we get mains that are clogged and plugged, that is a vital piece of equipment where time becomes of the essence, and we need to have a machine that we can rely on. So the Public Works Department, as you well know, is responsible for maintaining city sanitary sewers and storm sewer collection system. The jet vacs are a specialized piece of equipment that's responsible for the utility maintenance and responding to our emergency sanitary sewer overflows when we get calls for that. Essentially, it's a large truck that has a pump and tank, and the pump is designed to pneumatically suck liquids, sludges, slurries, and the like from a location into the tank of the truck. Jet vac is primarily used for two functions: maintenance and responding to emergency overflows. Maintenance activities include cleaning underground utility pipes, manholes, wet wells, storm drain inlets, and miscellaneous debris removal as needed. We also use it for potholing for utility improvements and water main breaks and those kinds of things as well. And as I mentioned earlier, it is the most critical piece of equipment we have, in particular in responding to sanitary sewer backup calls. So, We do have a contingency plan with the Clear Lake Sanitary District and their machines, so if ours is down and vice versa, we can call on the other entity for help. The Public Works Department has a 14-year-old jet vac. It's Camel. I remember when we bought it new, and that was quite a piece of equipment when we got it at the time, and we felt like the Camel was sort of the Cadillac of the industry at that time. And in 14 years, Jeremy, and Rod and I were kind of talking about this, and I might have talked with Nelson about it. It's amazing the amount of technological improvements, and you kind of underestimate that in a piece of machinery like this. But if we think back about what our cell phones and things looked like 14 years ago, you can kind of equate that to the changes that have taken place in a lot of different industries. So there's been a terrific amount of technological advancement in the field of these kind of machineries, and also some that will improve our efficiencies and provide for safer operations, as well as hopefully, not that we have a terrific amount of work comp issues. We've had terrific experience the last several years with that, positive experience, but lessening the duties of kind of the physical aspects of going along with cleaning the sanitary sewer system. So the current Camel we've had has had a significant amount of repairs last year or so, and it's most importantly, I don't think it's a machine that we can feel that we can rely upon for emergency purposes, and that's fundamentally the most important thing about the machine, in my opinion. So we also have recent developments in residential, commercial, and industrial. Has included utility infrastructure that has to be, of course, maintained by our Public Works Department. That's added additional infrastructure, expanding our overall network, and some of it contains some pretty significant structures. So the advanced technology that we see on the newer jet vacs, we think will allow us to be able to clean these structures more efficiently and effectively. So the Public Works staff's been spending quite a bit of time researching multiple vendors. They've tested out several different jet vac trucks, part of their due diligence process the last couple of months. So we're recommending that we issue this request for proposals that's included in your packet, and defer the acquisition purchase of the road grader for at least another fiscal year, just out of due to a more imminent need to replace the sewer jet vac machine. So. And again, I'll let Jeremy or Rod go over the request for proposals. Like I say, I think they did a real nice job putting this together. But again, you can kind of see if they're in there that you've read it, a little background on the existing machine. Spec'd out that we would like the new unit to be delivered no later than March 31st of 2021. Also ask for potential trade value on our existing 2006 Camel, and have identified that there. So we're also reserving the right to refuse or reject any bids, and we also reserve the right to sell the Camel outright if we can get a better deal from another community. Sometimes other communities are interested in those kinds of machines as well. Spec out also that the bid proposals need to be submitted no later than January 5th, 2021, 1 p.m. So we would anticipate this as an item for your January 18th meeting for your consideration. So I don't have anything further. I'll let Rod, Jeremy kind of go through a little more detail about the sewer jet vac machine that we have now, and maybe what the new technological advancements are with some of the newer stuff. And
Council, any questions, Scott? Thank you, Scott.
I should also estimate that, or add that the estimated cost of this probably in that $450,000 category. So it's not an inexpensive item.
Any questions for Scott, Council? Thank you, Scott. Review request, Jeremy Kornberg, Interim Public Works Director. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Scott did a great job kind of giving an overrun of pretty much what we're looking at here. The current machine has given us quite a bit of troubles in the past 12 months, really. A lot of downtime. We have had the district backing us up in a lot of those cases, which has been great. But just with that, a lot of it had little bugs here and there that just kind of were tough to find, and it just kind of created some issues. And lack of confidence in the operation of the machine. So like Scott had said, we've spent probably the past few months researching, had several companies come and show off their machines, and then we actually had 2 of them come in and give us pretty much a half day to a full day of work. Pretty much just ran them through a variety of activities that we use the machine for. There are options out there where our machine and what we do is kind of a variety of stuff. There's not just one thing that we use it for. Obviously, most critical is sanitary sewers, but cleaning sanitary sewers, storm sewers, all our filter beds, all our catch basins for all the storm sewer that feed the lake. Those are all things that are obviously quite critical, clear project, et cetera. All the parking lot projects that have put impervious pavers in, we have a hookup that we can vac those impervious pavers out to keep them clean and working appropriately as well. So with all that in mind, we demoed machines and then kind of came up for this proposal. It's kind of a wide variety, minimum aspects, because the few machines that we did demo, there's some major differences between them. Obviously, the functionality or the end result's pretty much the same, but technology-wise, there's quite a bit of difference between a couple of them that we demoed, and we put some stuff there in the packet. The one machine from Vector is very technologically advanced. The Sika machine is a little bit scaled back. Both are capable of doing the bare minimums. We're just kind of looking at what is going to be most efficient, what's going to last the longest, what's going to be best on our guys, et cetera. So just a few things that we've learned over the years, et cetera. Single piston water pump, we just feel is one of the main things. It runs the hose, runs the water system. It is I believe it is different than the current machine. Yes, it's an upgrade from the current machine. It allows just kind of higher performance, more efficiency. So that was one main thing we added. I'm not going to go through every single bullet point here, but really we kind of just laid out the things that would best fit our needs and improve our efficiencies and the use of the machine. So another big one was a mid-dump debris body. So instead of the current machine that we have has like an inside push plate, well, this one has a dump, so it'll dump out, cleans out better, less issues with dewatering. When we do storm sewers, stuff like that, we dewater the machine. So we empty the machine and then we can continue on water. Well, the current setup kind of has issues with dewatering, so we are, fighting that every day when we're out using it. So, like I said, some of these things are just things that we've learned over the years with the current machine and what we thought were best options for us going forward. And as Scott had alluded to, our current machine, it has almost 5,000 hours on it. Pretty much once summer hits, nice weather, it's out all day, every day. So that's really what we're kind of looking for, is a machine that's going to be able to be out there all day, every day, take the beating, and keep our systems operating. So I guess I'll kind of open it up there for you guys to ask any questions rather than me try and feed you some
So this
information.
is useful during water main breaks too?
Yes. That is one of the things that we looked at. Our machine is really what we call a combination machine. So it does all the hydro vacuuming, hydro excavating, and it is a critical piece when we do water main breaks. A lot of times water main breaks can end up happening right where there's a lot of other utilities. With the amount of underground Mediacom, Alliant with power and gas underground now, we start digging and we get into an area where there's a lot of underground. You can't get a bucket in there. You're doing a lot of hydro vacuuming just to get to the water main. So we also will use it as a dewatering option in some of those instances. So we can use that just to suck the water out of the hole, keep it moving, and keep them working.
I know when we purchased that, what did you say, Scott, 14 years ago, it was also a critical piece with regard to those, I think we call them vortex filter boxes that we had put in, I believe, total around the lake. We don't do all of them, like you said, the district does some of those in Ventura and in the county, but there's 36 of those around. And that's critical for the CLEAR project, Clear Lake Enhancement and Restoration, that Jim Shawley is the administrator over now as well, but critical for the restoration and maintenance of the restoration of that lake forever. And so this is a very, very important piece of equipment. Rod, I assume you concur everything that Jeremy said. You have done an awful lot, I know, because I've talked to you about it, a lot of repairs on this whole girl. Yeah.
Engine itself in there, and they said that in the environment that runs it, probably a little over 75% of the life that motor is
Yeah.
in that motor in that truck.
Yeah.
The parts from the camel part itself, not the shaft, the Freightliner chassis, not that big a problem, but the parts of the camel is, I mean, I was like 3 weeks for that last computer box, and they told me when I got that one, that was not a problem. They said, if it goes bad again, you don't know what we're gonna get. 14-year, you know, it's like a cell phone, it's outdated, so it makes that too high.
Yeah. This is critical. This is
Yeah.
critical.
In some of my research, I've found about 10 years is really end of life for most of these machines, especially with the use that we put into them. So, I mean, getting 14 years out of a machine like that, especially with the beating it takes. I mean, it's, even when, I mean, it shows in there, you know, the mileage is only, you know, 18,000 miles on the truck, but when it's cleaning engine or cleaning sewers, that engine's out there at, you know, 2,500 RPMs without to run that water pump and run that machine. So even though it's sitting idle, it's not really idling. It's humming along, so it does take a beating. So getting 14 years out of the machine like that is very, very good. You know, and like I said, we put quite a bit of work into it just to keep it moving and keep it working. So.
This list that you have given us is very, very well done. I'm glad you did that. That's
Right, and we
important.
put that together in a way that we could get multiple bids on it, because there's, like I said, the machines that are out there, you could easily write one of these up and, you know, by putting a couple things in there and
Right.
have everybody else out of the market. So we kept it basic in a way that we could get bids from the three that we've really been talking to, and with the options of if something in here isn't really what you met, you know, write it in, tell us what we've and what you have, and the difference, I guess. But we with testing them out, we kind of know what we have there, but we just kind of want to give them.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, Council, Jeremy, or Rod? Appreciate it. Good presentation. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Therefore, I entertain a motion to authorize the issuance of an RFP, request for proposal, with regard to the new sewer jet vac truck. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
By Gary, seconded by Bennett, that we approve the authorization of an RFP for the jet vac truck. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Chief, report. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'd like to direct your attention to the last sheet in your packet. I believe it's red. That's where you'll find our November 2020 stats. We'll be working here the next several weeks here after the December closes to compile our annual report, but that should give you an idea of what we've done so far in 2020. Want to give you an update on our police officer position. We were notified that we would not be able to get anybody into the academy until the spring or summer, so we kind of delayed our testing process for that new applicant, especially with COVID. We had to do some re-examination of how we would administer a test, physical agility, and interviews. So we're on track for early February to kind of go through the applications and start the interview process and the testing. We had a great time on Saturday with the fire department escorting Santa around in the trolley. It was a pretty good turnout despite the fact of the cold weather. Really appreciative of that. We were invited to help with that. Finally, as my last council report of 2020, just looking back at the year of 2020, I wanted to publicly thank our city staff and specifically our public safety personnel. They showed up for work every day, every shift. Working remotely was really not an option for us, and I just wanted to publicly thank them for doing that. Also, looking back at 2020, we had some retirements, a lot of new employees over at the police department. We had new positions. We had the task force investigator, the communications supervisor, a new lieutenant addition. We also did our new radio project, which was a 5-year plan that we decided to do in 2020 during COVID. We have a new 911 system that we are with the county on, and of course a reorganized police station. So I just also want to let you know that we are still participating in weekly meetings with public health and our local partners with COVID and our COVID response. And I just really want to just tell you how appreciative I am of your support, the city's support, and also the continued operations of the police department and their staff and our staff for coming to work every day. Unless you have any questions about anything I've said or reported on behalf of the police department, I just wanted to wish you all happy and healthy holidays and a better new year. So,
Council, any questions for the chief? Just one thing for me, I really appreciate the flexibility of our police department. You know, we go from a town of 10,000 or less sometimes to a town of 15 to 20,000 in one day or less time. And the flexibility that our department has to adjust and to adapt is excellent.
it was a year of problem solving, you know, with the chamber and the surf and all the activities and adjusting to the busyness of the lake just being 7 days a week instead of just the weekend. So again, it was a unique and interesting year for the books, I guess is what I would say. So,
and thank you and Captain Colby for your leadership. Appreciate that. Public Works, Jeremy? Anything? Council, any questions for Jeremy? Got those plows ready? It's good, yeah, it's good for the salt budget there. That's yeah, it's good. Under Mayor's report, neither Stacy nor Chad are here this evening, but I do want to say that the Chamber of Commerce this year has really done a lot of things that have been totally different, and some of which have been the same, but I think that ride of Santa Claus, as the chief mentioned earlier, around town was very, very helpful, and they have also put out, along with the Mirror Reporter, I believe, those areas of town that I've really lighted up the Christmas spirit in this town. I know my wife and I have driven around, and there are some wonderful, wonderful displays of lights that really increases the spirit of us all. And thank you, Chamber. Real quick, in this year of COVID-19, this town, this council, the city workers, and the support of our citizenry has been unbelievable. Real quick, here are some of the things, and you've heard these before, so I'm firing right through them. But here we go with the projects. Marriott Hotel and Conference Center, RACA Economic Development Project, the Clear Lake Wellness Center Project, 35 building permits for new single-family dwellings, plus an additional new residential subdivision under development. City Beach Enhancement Project. You know, that splash pad part, I just love that, to see those little kids in there. Boat decontamination station. Some of you might not think that's important, but it is with regard to invasive vegetation going from one lake to another, and that's set up at Touristville and McIntosh. The second Quick Start, people joke about that when there's an empty lot. What's going in there now? We got another Quick Start going in. But it's a great business to have in our town. Reconstruction of Main from 14th to 20th. Many school facility improvements. You say, well, that's school. Well, we're all having a part in that. We've worked very, very closely with them on a lot of issues. Panther Builders are in right now, I believe, doing 8 new 3-story apartments on South 15th Street. The city has purchased property, or will be finalizing the purchase of property from the county on the garages on South 15th, in which there'll be a park developed there, specifically for one item anyway, and there will be the Everybody Plays equipment. We've purchased the area where Woodford lumber buildings are presently, and that will be an expansion of a library in the future down the road. And, you know, we're looking at what is a future library, what will it look like? Spend some time on that. There's a very strong interest in the Courtway Place lots. Dolly James has purchased, you know, the Sunset School area, and we just, you know, took action on the rezoning of that property tonight. I truly believe that in these next 5 years, there will be a strong, strong interest in this town with regard to commercial and residential property expansion. I'm anxious to see where this town will be going in the next 5 years. I think it will be a great boon to the area, as well as to this part of the state, as well as to the North Iowa corridor. I think we are ready to really take off once again. So thank you for all of your support. Let's make sure that if it is available, and of course it's your choice, when that vaccine comes around, you know, take advantage of it. That's a decision, I know, but take advantage of it. Hey, Merry Christmas to you all, and also a very, very healthy new year. Mr. Flory, you're on.
Going to mention on the 2021A, the $1.2 million taxable note for the Marriott Hotel project, as well as the 2021B, the $600,000 issuance for the property acquisitions that the mayor was just talking about for the future library expansion project, as well as the future park expansion project. We had our quote openings today. As you know, we shop those. We utilized Northland Securities. Chip Schultz assisted us with that. Shop those primarily here to the local banks, but Chip did also test some outside extra banks, Iowa City, Des Moines, to ensure that the rates that we got were favorable. So we did get good interest here from the local banks. The $1.2 million general obligation bond was bid, the low bid on that was 0.55%. That's a 7-year note on that one. We're going to take action on this at the January 4th meeting. And local bank got that, Clear Lake Bank and Trust, which is appropriate since they're the financier of the hotel project itself. Also, the $600,000 note for the land acquisition, that was at 0.42, and that was achieved by MBT. So we'll take action on that at your meeting on January 4th. But again, very, very good, favorable rates for sure. So.
Council, any questions for Scott?
I'll just wish Ashley a happy birthday. It's her birthday girl over
Oh,
there, so.
all right. Happy birthday, Ashley. Anything else, council? Go Cyclones, go Hawkeyes, and always go Clear Lake Lions.